and welcome to Happy Horror Time. My name's Tim Murdoch.
And my name is Matt Emmert, and we are back at it, Tim.
We're back like the Ghostbusters.
And better than ever.
Yeah, let's conquer those ghosts.
If you have been listening to our weekly podcast, which I hope all of you have, you've noticed that we've had quite a fair share of interviews lately.
A mix.
Well, like a lot of them. So you haven't heard just Tim and I doing our thing lately, you know?
Angela Bassett does the thing.
Angela Bassett did the thing. Google Ariana DeBose BAFTAs if you don't know what that means. It's
Jamie
worth
Lee,
it.
she's all of us.
It's worth it. Tell me. Put it on YouTube, actually. Anyway, but no, you've probably noticed that we've had a lot of interviews because both Tim and I were doing a lot of traveling throughout April, so we hadn't been able to do new movie releases. But we did the siblings episode with our brother and sister.
Yes.
That was a good
fun.
one.
You want me a Coke? Are you going to burp next?
If you keep talking when I'm talking, you know what I'm going to do?
What?
Talk. Anyway, so Evil Dead Rise, what you have hopefully tuned in for. So this was a big, big movie because it is the first Evil Dead movie in 10 years to come out. Do you remember when the Evil Dead remake came out in 2013?
Yeah, I saw it with you.
Oh, well, yeah, you said that. Okay, so I liked the remake.
I did too. I thought it was great.
And I don't want to upset the lovely ladies that we interviewed from the original Evil Dead, but I kind of may have liked the remake better than the original.
I think that's okay.
Only because it's just a different type of thing. Here's the thing. The original Evil Dead is iconic, and it is great because it's just so over the top. But I think I like a little bit more like not as humorous horror, like more like straight on scary plot.
The first Evil Dead is they play it straight for a minute.
Oh, I guess you're right. It's just the effects is so over the top.
But the second one definitely.
Oh, yeah. Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness. Well, you definitely have to listen to our bonus episode. And if you are not a patron yet, sign up to be a patron at patreon.com/happyhorrortime. No, and you can hear all our bonus episodes. But we talked all about Evil Dead 2 and how, and I was about to say House of Darkness. And
I'm sure there is a horror movie called House of Darkness.
Army of Darkness. But you're right. The original Evil Dead did play it straight, I think, because it's just so over the top, whereas the remake, it was a little bit more grounded. I don't know. Maybe I'm just searching for reasons, but for some reason, it just felt darker, I guess, than the original.
The Evil Dead Rise, right?
No, I'm talking about the remake in 2013.
Yes. That was dark.
Yes, and speaking of, so let's now get to, it's 2023, there's a new Evil Dead movie, there's no Bruce Campbell in it, but it was executive produced by Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell and produced by Rob Tappert, who was producer on the original one. So the three that started the whole Evil Dead series were involved in this, but they had a new writer-director, Lee Cronin. I'm not sure what he's known for. Oh, he wrote some award-winning short, Ghost Train. Anyway,
I am only familiar with Terror Train starring Jamie Lee Curtis. She's all of us.
She's all of us. Ariana DeBose, BAFTAs. Google it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Evil Dead Rise, they have been advertising this for a while because it was first supposed to be released exclusively on HBO Max last year.
Yeah, which is really great because I don't think studios will ever get it through their head that horror, no matter what, we will go.
Meaning they should release it theatrically.
Yeah, I mean, we all went to see Skinamarink.
I know, right?
That movie made $1 million.
Well, but the thing is also, if you want people, at least we, love watching horror in a huge movie theater with a huge crowd that they can share in the screams and the gasps and everything with. You don't want to watch it at home like by yourself. That's weird.
It's creepy, weird.
Creepy and weird, exactly. And the thing is, like, you want to see a movie theatrically. So now, even when a movie like Halloween Ends comes out both same day on like in the theaters and on like a streaming service, of course we're going to see it in the theaters. Corey Cunningham story, Tim.
I love Corey Cunningham.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yep. It's the Corey Cunningham story.
Exactly. So Evil Dead Rise, it has been advertised all over because it was supposed to come out earlier, and now I
feel like we watched that trailer for a year.
And the trailers were good because the first thing I noticed from the trailers that it looked really scary.
It is slick, it is stylish,
dark and scary. And this ain't no cabin in the woods Evil Dead. This is in like a dilapidated Los Angeles building, and so you knew.
In Los Angeles?
I thought it took place in Los Angeles. Yeah,
I think it
thought
did.
But like you can just tell it's a different setting. But like the trailer just looks so terrifying to the point that I know like people like I was talking with some coworkers about, and they're like, "Oh, that looks too scary." I'm like, "Really? Evil Dead Rise?"
I can honestly say that I wasn't scared at all. I wasn't at all.
Just jump right to okay.
No, I mean, like the trailer made it look like if you're an average, if you're an average Joe, or what's an average girl called?
Jane,
Jill, Joe, and Jill,
Jane.
and you saw that trailer, you would be like, "Oh, that might be too much."
Well, but the thing is, if you know Evil Dead, which I'm sure most horror people are at least somewhat familiar with the series, you know that Evil Dead is all about tons of gore, over the top, like over the top, I guess, like
it reaches
effects.
a volcano pitch.
Yes, and a lot of the Evil Dead series has been about like mixing comedy with horror. Now, this one did not really mix comedy, but it definitely had over the top gore, and it definitely had like big time effects and tons of blood. But let's just set it up for people because it does start. The opening scene isn't in the building. It starts it's like on a lake, and I will say the very beginning was really cool because as they're starting the opening credits, they're doing the usual classic Evil Dead thing where it looks like the dead spirits are traveling through the forest to get to someone, but then as you see the camera traveling really fast, and then it passes by this girl who's sitting by the lake, but it was actually a drone camera, not the spirits.
That was so creative and so 2023.
I thought it really was creative because again, I was fooled. I thought it was gonna be the spirits and a drone, very 2023.
And it was kind of cool that they started off in a place that might possibly be like Evil Dead.
Exactly.
Evil Dead 2,
it felt
like
Cabin in the Woods. So that was a good start. And so you find out there's this these two girls and one of the girls' boyfriends are on a trip at the lake.
And he's kind of a dipshit.
He's a dipshit. Like he's playing around with
he's gonna die.
And he's playing around with the drone, and he says that his girlfriend hasn't been feeling well. And in Evil Dead, that's code for she's fucking possessed.
Yeah.
And the poor girl who is just annoyed by her friend's boyfriend has a nice little not ponytail, but braid.
It's a ponytail braid.
I think it's like a braid.
Yeah,
a braid. And she goes inside to check on her friend, and her friend is just laying down on the bed and like mumbling. And
you know
like,
what that means? Trouble.
You're like possessed. So the girl with the braid is like starts like just sitting down, like waiting for her to wake up and reading.
We have to tell people that you saw this movie twice.
Yes, I did see it twice. I mean, what happened was Tim was out of town when it came out, and we wanted to see it opening day, so I went then. But I was like, "Don't worry, Tim, I will see it again with you." So I
can I just say that is so nice of you. I thank you so much. Remember when I saw that Bradley Pooper movie twice?
Which one?
With you, I saw with you, and like he's like a circus freak.
He's a circus freak. Oh,
what was that called?
Oh God, I can't remember, but it came out in like
I saw
December.
That twice.
That's funny. Anyway, so the girl with the braid sits down and she's reading, and then she notices her friend can read exactly what's in her book and starts like chanting it. What book was it?
Wuthering Heights.
Oh, I'm not familiar with that book.
I'm not either.
And so the girl with the braid is getting freaked out because it's like, how does her friend know what she's reading? And then her friend just plops over onto the side.
Right, remember? Like she fell off the bed. And we also should tell people that when she was reading her friend's book, which she couldn't see, it was like a demon voice.
It was like, and it kept changing. Her voice kept changing. Blah 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 blah.
But that's eerie.
Yeah, that is totally scary because again, she couldn't see the book, but she was reading it in a demon voice. But then she falls over and like looks like she throws up, like it's just like Evil Dead. It's like a white milky liquid.
Yeah, I mean, since we did just interview Kathy
Bates.
Kathy Bates.
Since we did just wow, we got a big one for you guys.
We got misery Kathy Bates.
Kathy Bates. Next up, Jamie Lee Curtis.
She was telling us that whatever they could find in the cabin, they just spit up.
Oh my God, all the craziest shit. Well, I think we've come a long way since that. I'm sure that actually was
stuff
milk.
Looked nasty.
So the girl with the braid is trying to help her friend because she thinks she's like going to a seizure, and the friend, who's obviously possessed, starts speaking to her in a demon voice, but this was such a good scene.
Ooh, it was gross.
She takes her hand, wraps it around the girl's braid, and then pulls her scalp off.
Which so unexpected, so gross.
So gross, but so well done. I have not seen in all the Evil Dead movies a scalping.
Right, and I think that's what really, really differentiates it from the other films is like, yes, it's comedic, but it's also really
Well,
it could happen.
Well, it's
I don't
also
know.
like, I mean, you'd have to have some force to
She's
pull
really
with your
strong.
bare hand someone's scalp off. But so then it switches to it's the annoying guy at the lake with the drone, and then the girl who's been scalped now comes out, and he's like, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" And then the possessed girl comes out, grabs the guy's drone, shoves it into her own face, and falls in the water.
That was, and then he jumps in and saves
He jumps in
her.
and saves, because remember, he doesn't know she's possessed. He just thinks that she went crazy. He jumps in, and then very Jaws like, he gets like pulled under the water, red blood everywhere, and then his decapitated head gets thrown out of the water.
Right, that was very
That was
creative.
the only thing I thought. His decapitated head looked so CGI.
Oh
like,
yeah, that really bums me up because it's like you have such a strong opening. CGI kills the scene.
it really does. And the thing about the scalping is, as much as obviously they didn't really scalp her, the effect of that looked real. But then the decapitated head was such a CGI
Right, like
effect.
it was like the eyes and the nose and the mouth were
They were
moving.
like-
I was like, no.
I know. But then, and I thought this was really fucking cool, I have to say. The girl rises up out of the water, the demon girl, right as the title Evil Dead Rise rises up.
That was like
Wasn't
a
that
beautiful
cool?
painting.
One of the best, like, or not opening credits, but title sequences I've seen. Like, I can't remember a title sequence that I was like I wanted to clap because
Me
it just
too,
was so.
it was like a rock concert.
It felt like, seriously, like, because the demon rises as the words Evil Dead Rise
Right.
come up, and I was like, that's cool.
Well, like I might stand up if it was like Kelly Clarkson, but I don't like her much.
Oh my God, take that. Tim knows he's making fun because I just got tickets to see Kelly Clarkson in Vegas for her chemistry tour in Vegas. I'm going in August. Don't want to talk about it.
You just did.
Tim, I mean, I wouldn't if for Kelly Clarkson.
I mean, I might stand up for Evil Dead Rise or Kelly Clarkson.
Anyway, great opening sequence, but then immediately it just switches. And by the way, we never found out what happened to the scalp girl. I figure she's going to get
Well,
killed.
she was still alive. She was like looking in the water, like, what the hell?
I think if your brain is exposed like that, it's just a matter of time till you're dead,
Right, but we
right?
still don't know.
I mean, she may be out there. No,
I hope
no
she's
he-
in the sequel.
with a wig and a
Wig.
fake scalp.
Ew.
So-
Yeah, I'm actually curious. I'm going to ask my doctor friend if he can walk around with an exposed brain.
You should say that. Hey, doctor, really important. In fact, you should call him right now, like late
Hang
night calls
on.
of the
Beep, boop,
doctor.
bop, bop, bop.
Hey, if I got scalped by a demon, do you think I could walk around and still survive? Is that cool?
Yeah.
They're like, who's this?
Yeah, he goes, who?
Tim Murdoch, Happy Horror Time?
I was like, Doc as in the other Doc as in doctor.
Dr. Tim Murdoch?
That's
Yeah, yeah.
right.
Anyway, so it switches to our main characters, and the first character we're introduced to is Beth, and she's like a guitar technician on tour, and she's immediately peeing and giving herself a pregnancy test, which I don't know about you, but there's been a lot of scenes in movies where you have to watch someone peeing, and I don't like it.
I don't like peeing or pooing, but I love
Pooing
farts.
definitely.
No.
But no. It's just funny watching someone pretending to pee. Like, I don't know. It's just
Right.
always a funny
I mean,
thing.
I knew exactly what she was doing. I mean, I knew she was
She's
doing
taking a pregnancy test, and then you see her look at the test, and you don't know what it says, but you assume she's probably pregnant because, I don't know, she had an expression like, ugh. Like, she didn't seem like, oh, I'm relieved, you know?
Right. Like,
And-
you could tell with that kind of lifestyle, throwing in a baby is not the best.
Yeah. So anyway, she decides to go and visit her sister and her sister's kids. And that's where we're introduced to this old, huge LA apartment building, which you find out is about to be condemned in a month. So everything is kind of breaking down. And Beth's sister is named Ellie. And Ellie was dyeing her hair red, which I thought it looked really good.
I actually thought it looked really cute. I think whoever is the mother is gorgeous.
So the mother, Ellie, is played by Alyssa Sutherland, and Beth is played by Lily Sullivan.
What
Wow,
else
that's really,
has Elisa?
really...
I need to know what else she was in.
Alyssa Sutherland, I'm not sure what she was in. Oh, she was on the television series Vikings, and then Rona's, as Queen Aslog in Vikings. Don't know that, but she's beautiful. Yeah. So we're also introduced to Ellie's 3 kids. So these are Beth's nieces and nephews. So Ellie has a teenage son named Danny, a teenage daughter named Bridget, and a younger daughter named Cassie. Now, this is just kind of funny, but I don't know if you noticed this, but like Danny and Bridget, the teenage son and daughter, both of them just happen to be so androgynous looking.
Yes, their haircuts are so You could be a boy or a girl with those hairstyles.
It felt like, and hey, do what you want, live how you like, doesn't matter.
Thought I was a girl.
But it just was so funny that both kids were like Danny almost had like a little bit of a mullet, so it almost looked like it was just a very weird cut, and they're both very slim, very just very androgynous features. I just thought it was interesting that both teenagers were so androgynous, you know?
Absolutely. Going back.
Did you notice that, or is that a me thing?
No. Of course I noticed that, right? Because growing up, when I first moved to Ohio, my best friend, her name was Heidi. She had a mohawk.
I just love. I was about to ask. Okay.
Everyone thought Heidi, my best friend, was a boy, and everyone thought I
was a girl.
Well, pretty much because
Really?
my voice is high now.
Oh,
but
I'm trying to think.
Imagine it.
Oh my God.
Second, I was like, "Hey, it's me and Heidi."
Mickey Mouse here.
Yeah,
oh my
so
God.
everyone thought it was basically Heidi and I.
So
were
you
the
guys
two
were the
kids.
teenage kids. Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
yes.
Well, and then there's the younger daughter, Cassie, who's like the girly girl. She's playing with her dolls. But anyway, just to give you an idea of the type of kids, like Danny, the oldest teenager, is like a DJ. He's playing his records. Bridget is like very like protesty. I think she was into an environment protest.
What was she? Something about the earth.
She was making a sign that said something like was it polluting the earth or something like very. But right away you got the types of characters they were just from these moments. And then little Cassie, the younger one,
cute,
she cut off the head of her doll and put it on a staff, and I thought this was very creative. She named it the doll staff Staffney.
That was clever.
I thought that was clever. So Beth comes here. She sees Ellie, her kids. They love their cool aunt. Ellie thinks she's like a groupie, but she's like, no, I'm a guitar technician.
So then, like, as they're all sitting around, she's like, hey, where's your husband?
Yeah. So I was actually thinking my first thought
Let's talk about the husband.
Where's the dad? Yeah. And Beth obviously doesn't know that the husband left Ellie and the kids like 2 months ago. And Ellie's like, yeah, I called you 2 months ago. You were too busy.
Right,
and we're
she
like,
I called you twice. And then she finds the messages and listens to them.
But yeah, apparently Beth didn't check her voicemail for 2.5 months. That was quite a tour. Look, she was getting pregnant.
Right. She got things to do.
She was
fixed the
busy.
guitars.
But like so already it was good because they had character development. You could tell these sisters
Maybe
were
a little
close.
too much. I was getting restless.
There was a little much, but at the same time, it made you understand who the characters were. Like I felt like Beth is kind of the I felt like she was probably the rebellious sister.
Like you could tell like she starts new chapters all the time.
And always on the road. Whereas Ellie obviously is the I have a family. I have to support them. So they were talking about that the building's being torn down in like a month, and Ellie's like, we got to find a new place to live.
Not in the defense of the landlord, but it looked a little gross.
Oh no, it looked like a piece of shit. So,
but and like I'm knocking the movie when I say this, but it kind of looked like a set.
Really?
You thought it was a real building?
I don't know. I don't think you always look so hard at that, and I try to not, because if I do, I'm going to get stuck thinking what you're thinking.
It's just that, being a security guard at Warner Brothers, I've been walking around I've walked around so many sets.
You were just so into set. No, but it is funny how you notice that shit.
That's all I do.
You look at, you're like, set, not set.
Yeah,
set,
I was like,
set.
well, here's a big thing. When people are standing next to a window and it's like nighttime and it's like you see a bunch of buildings, you should see a light go on or off, or like a blinking light or something. When none of the lights move at all,
it's a set.
It's a backdrop.
Look, it sounds like a little set design 101 tip from Tim.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Tim. You should be Professor Murdoch teaching set design 101 at UCLA later this fall.
Right. And the fee is $1,000 an hour.
An hour. And how many hours are you teaching?
250.
200.
Yeah.
Wow, that's going to be quite a class.
I know.
So anyway, that's all this character development. If you're thinking it's a lot, it's because there was. But they finally, Ellie sends all 3 kids out to get pizza, and they go out.
Say it like Jamie Lee Curtis.
Pizza. But you got to explain, that was remember when Halloween 2018 came out, they did like a sweepstakes where if you donated to a charity, you could win like a hangout time with Jamie Lee Curtis where you watched a movie and got pizza.
And she said it just like that.
But I mean, it's Jamie Lee Curtis, so she's like, pizza.
Well, she's all of us.
Ariana DeBose, BAFTAs, YouTube it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so so when they get back from getting the pizza, there's this huge earthquake. Yes, see, that's why it's LA, because there's a big earthquake.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Why
so there's a huge earthquake, but this building in the parking lot is so shitty that like it literally starts like the floor starts splitting and a hole is formed, and the kids find that there's something in this hole, and the son or the teenage boy, what's his name? Danny goes into the hole and sees finds like all these like files and things, and then underneath everything
Finds
he finds
the Book of the Dead.
Well, first he finds 3 records, and they're labeled 1, 2, 3, and he takes them, and then in this weird, it's like a tomb. Was it a tomb?
Yeah, it looked like something that if it was a bank, it locked all the money in.
Well, that was where the safety deposit box. But I'm talking about. Remember how the book was underneath? It almost looked like a grave or a tomb.
Oh,
remember there was like a hole in it.
Well, I didn't see it twice, so
You're right. I didn't. I probably would have noticed it the first time. It's like this tomb, and he picks out this book, and it's all wrapped up, and he unwraps it, and immediately all these like flying roaches.
Oh yeah, that
out.
was gross. And the book has like teeth on it.
It's like closed with teeth. Now I don't know about you.
I'd leave it there.
Yeah, exactly. If I found a book that not only when you unwrap it, a huge amount of flying roaches come out of it, that's probably a bad sign.
That's gross. I hate roaches.
The second bad sign is if there's teeth, like literally teeth closing it, it probably should stay closed. But no, he takes the book, he takes the records, and he goes back with his sisters. And Bridget was like, leave that shit, don't take it. But he doesn't
She was
agree.
the smart one. I mean, everyone was pretty smart in this movie.
Except for him, because he's the one who fucked it up.
Well, he's
because
a boy.
What
Boys
does he
are
do?
stupid.
He goes to his like turntable and he plays the first record.
Chicka, chicka, chicka.
And this was a good callback to the original, because you hear, if you remember the original Evil Dead, they also play a record, and you hear like a voice of, in this time I think it was a priest saying he had made this discovery of this Book of the Dead and he needed to research it. And then you get to the second record and he keeps playing it and he says, now I'm going to recite the resuscitation what's it called, chant for the dead. And then of course the boy's like, oh shit, and tries to turn it off, and guess what? Won't turn off.
Too late, because you know what it's gonna do? It's gonna rise.
Well, Evil Dead.
That's right.
So literally the record play, it's too late. The book opens and the record starts chanting this like weird stuff, just like the original.
Right, and then it said, you spin me
Rides round, baby, rides round like a record. That's not what they say.
True.
It says like, ah, shambhala.
Dewey Dumbella, give me the power I beg of you. Child's Play.
Wrong movie.
Child's Play.
Not my movie, baby.
Not my movie, baby.
So he can't turn it off, and it chants this whole chant, and the book starts flying open and everything. We forgot to mention that they did get the book open after cutting himself, and inside the book are all these like horrific images of like demons and stuff.
And
Again,
one kind of looks like their mom.
yes, one almost looks like their mom. And like everything looks horrible, but of course he still proceeded, and these already played the chant. And what do you know? What happens when the chant happens? But the spirits of the dead are risen, just like the original Evil Dead. You see them traveling outside, and they come inside and they find Ellie, the mom, because she was going into the elevator to do laundry, and she like gets thrown up against the wall. Everything goes crazy.
Like Phoebe Cates and Gremlins 2.
Well, I thought this scene was a really cool callback to the Vine scene in the original Evil Dead.
Yes, because it was
no rape though. No rape.
Thank God.
Yeah. Well, because Ellie gets strung up in the hotel in the elevator by what were those? Were they
it
cables?
Look like wire cables. It looked like things to make an elevator go up or down.
First, a cable goes around her neck, and it looks like it's going to strangle her. Then around like her arm, and then her legs. And were you a little scared they were going to do the rape thing?
I thought it's 2023. Hopefully the director has better taste than to do that again.
And the director did, because even though she's strung up and it's like pulling her in all these different directions, nothing goes up her vagina, thank God.
Yes, because we don't, note to self, after a long day of work, I don't need to see that.
Tell everyone what's that from.
That's from The Comeback, 2005, starring Lisa Kudrow.
So poor Ellie has like been obviously possessed, and she walks back to her apartment, and in a really classic scene that they show in the trailer, her sister and her kids are like, are you okay? The mom gets a frying pan out and she starts throwing eggs in it, which are cracking, and the shell is in it
yeah,
too.
which, I mean, that's not the way I like my eggs.
I like mine with a little less shell.
You know what? Pepsi's Pepsi.
What?
There is this ridiculous interview with Tucker Carlson interviewing Britney Spears, and he goes, well, what's your favorite kind of Pepsi? And she goes, Pepsi's Pepsi.
Oh, I was like, I have no idea what
I
you're
know,
talking
I'm sorry.
about. No. So Ellie is making this omelet, and then they're like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "I had this wonderful dream where I cut you all open and crawled inside of you and like ripped you apart or something," which I want to hear from my mom. I want to say.
I think that's just another way of saying good morning.
Or like, "I love you."
Yeah.
I think when you say I want to crawl inside you and rip you apart, it's just like a term of endearment.
Right. It's like
so like they get all scared and I don't get why.
Well, this is where the movie for me gets a little weird because this movie is the king or queen of just looks. Like everyone's looking at the mom like she's crazy. But the way and then the camera kind of pauses and it's almost like they're modeling. Did you get that?
I didn't get that, but I did get there's a lot of reaction shots, a lot of looks.
But the reaction is frozen.
You know what I will say, one thing about Beth, and I told you this after the movie, is that her look, her voice, everything reminded me of Clea Duvall in The Faculty.
I agree 110%.
She has like the shorter hair. She has that like goth look. She's like kind of always looks like her hair's wet and like a little angry.
Crash and burn, Casey.
Yeah, exactly. She reminded. So Ellie, who's obviously possessed, then falls on the floor, throws up a huge amount of disgusting stuff, like so much that it becomes like a lake of grossness.
Oh my gosh, that vomit scene was
so much vomit.
I think I loved that.
I mean, it was just vomit, just kept coming, and then she falls over, and they all think that she's
vomiting
dead.
Makes you tired. Have you ever vomited when you've been under the influence?
I have vomited, but I've never vomited from alcohol.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
Because I know how to hold my liquor, unlike you, who's 46 and still vomits from alcohol. Oh!
True story.
That was really funny. Oh, Tim.
Wait, in your lifetime, even
Never.
in college, you never threw up from alcohol.
And I've gotten drunk as shit, but some people, like, I've had horrible hangovers. I've just never thrown up from it.
I am so proud of you.
Thank you.
It's
I
good
deserve an award.
accomplishment.
Yeah, thank
I'm going to give you an Oscar.
Thank you. So they think Ellie's dead, and they are all in shock. They're like, she was talking crazy, now she's dead. They invite the neighbors over, and they're sitting her body in the, like, bed, but they just think she's dead, and they don't know what to do. And they are like, they can't get her to a hospital because the elevator's not working because the earthquake. And another thing that happened from the earthquake, it like demolished the stairs.
Yeah, unclear why that happened.
They treated that like that was normal. I was like, wait, the stairs are just gone, so they're trapped?
Right. And like other people in the building didn't notice all this craziness.
I know.
Was going
I was
on.
like, there's like three
okay.
other people in the building. So what happens is, Beth is kind of talking to Ellie, saying, I can't believe you're gone. And Ellie like wakes up and she's obviously like demon Ellie. And that's when she like starts attacking the family. And like first there's a scene where they think she's just having a fever. They put her in the bathtub and she jumps up from the bathtub and screams.
This is the huge trailer scene that everyone's like, I think honestly that her jumping up in that whole scene is what got everyone in the theater.
Oh my God. She jumps up and she screams so loud that like it hurts all their ears. It's like breaking windows. Then the kid's like, Mom, and my favorite line of the entire movie, Tim.
No,
Mom,
you say it.
Okay. Mommy's with the maggots now.
Yes.
Which I really think any kid wants to hear about their mother,
right.
Mommy's
that was
with the maggots now.
disturbing.
But anyway, there's this whole thing. She's like attacking the family. She gets this like tattoo needle on her daughter Bridget and is about to get her in the eye.
Which actually, that was so effective.
It almost looked like she did get in her eye, but the girl, she turned and it got the side of her face.
Yeah, which by the way, it comes into play later. Yeah. It was by the needle, wasn't by the mother. So it was interesting that is what possessed her.
Well, I think because she also kind of barfed some on her. Okay. And whenever you barf some of that demon shit on you, you get like possessed. But finally, after this long struggle, she's wounded her daughter. She's wounded Beth. They finally get her out the door and lock her outside.
Right. And she continues to attack everyone in the hallway, which was pretty funny.
This is what I will say. That may have been my favorite sequence in the movie because I thought it was, talk about well directed in this scene. The entire scene is seen through the peephole of the door. And if you've ever had a peephole, which I think everyone has.
But it was also serious.
Well, but I mean, I'm just talking about the actual camera angle where it's, when you look through a peephole, everything looks like kind of expanded and a little bit weird and foggy. And they show this entire massacre through the peephole where Ellie is murdering all of the neighbors, including that kid and the teenager. And there's this whole scene where like she rips one of the guy's eyes out. It pops in the other guy's mouth. That was comedic.
I enjoyed all of that.
She like kills one of the guys with a shotgun. Like she just massacres all of them.
Was he the landlord or just a man with a gun?
I think he's just a man with a gun. I don't know.
I think think he was just a man with a gun.
Look, man with a gun. But you're seeing all of it through the people, and there's blood all over the people. I thought that was creative because I haven't watched a massacre through a peephole lately.
Me neither. But gosh, I need to see more of that.
But there's all kinds of stuff. So they have her locked out. Well, the young daughter, Cassie, because she's young, a little dumb, the mom is able to say, like, Cassie,
all I need is a hug.
A hug and a kiss. And she says, Mom, you don't look so good. And she's like, open up now. And then the girl starts to open the door. Luckily, the chain's on it. And then, big surprise, Ellie grabs her.
And she's like literally holding the little girl in the air.
Yeah, like the rest of the family has to like help and close the door and get her out of it. Well, while this is all happening, you know, Danny tells Beth what he did with those records and stuff. But while this is happening, good old Bridget, the younger daughter, is disappeared. And then,
which is so interesting to me that the stakes are so high that Bridget would even separate her family, you know, at all.
Well, I think at this point she was starting to be possessed. That's why.
That's what I mean.
She had just gotten away from that tattoo needle, which like got her, and then you see her, and she starts like dark liquid starts coming out of her eyes and her mouth.
Yes.
It was gross. Even as an
once
actor,
again, we get more barfing.
But as an actor, having to have stuff pouring out of your eyes and mouth, that's tough.
I think that's CGI.
Oh, I thought that even the vomit stuff?
Not the vomit, but
okay,
I
the
think
eye stuff, you're
the
right.
eyes and the nose, that was just...
No, you're probably right.
I usually don't
right.
agree with CGI in any shape or form, but I thought those two, the eyes and the nose...
Actually, you're totally right. How would they get shit out of her eyes? Right.
Okay,
but the barf, you're totally right. But the barf, I think, was real. But anyway, then I love that Beth comes in and is like, Bridget, are you okay? And what's Bridget doing, Tim?
She's, instead of just like drinking out of a glass, she's eating the glass.
She's eating a wine glass, as in chewing glass and swallowing it.
And they show the blades go down her throat.
They show it going down her throat and like cutting up her throat. And obviously,
she's hungry.
She is hungry. She's like, Bridget, can you wait for that pizza?
Yeah, can you just not eat the glasses?
She's like, I am so hungry, I could eat anything. And she's like,
I think we've all been there.
I mean, the last time I ate a glass of wine,
I've eaten styrofoam glasses.
I've eaten paper.
Yeah.
I've eaten
rocks.
I've eaten furniture, sand.
Yeah.
You know, hey, you gotta
when your
eat,
stomach growls, it growls.
So she jumps onto Beth because she's possessed, and in another, probably the only scene I had to turn away at, Bridget grabs a cheese grater.
Oh, I did.
And puts it on Beth's leg and like literally rips off the skin on her lower leg.
And I actually thought when they showed it off, I thought the what was going to be worse, but it actually wasn't too bad.
It was more the seeing it happen and being able to like feel that happening, because everyone's, you know, either has used a cheese grater or knows it, and to grate off your own skin, like that was rough. But have you ever had it done to your feet? It's really hot, right?
No, but I mean, if you get a pedicure.
Oh, do they? But that's like dead skin. They're getting rid of.
Right, but still, it hurts.
Oh, really?
I've done it many times.
Why don't you tell them to stop?
Because I'm paying for it.
You're like, I want to pay for the pain.
Yeah, pay for the pain. Thank you.
Anyway, Bridget starts trying to attack them. She runs at Cassie, and what did Cassie do? She holds up her good old trusty staff knee, and it goes right through Bridget's mouth and the back of her throat.
Which actually, again, CGI, but done well.
Done well. But as you know, when you kill someone who's a demon and already dead, you can't kill them, so they like cover her and tie her up. But guess what? She's not done. Dead. She ain't dead. So Beth is trying to figure out what the fuck's going on. She listens to the last record where the priest is saying like, everyone's been possessed. They're coming for me. There's nothing I can do.
And she's got her headphones on, and you know when you have your headphones on,
you don't hear anything. And what's going on in the background, Tim?
Well, the mom from the hallway decides to go up through the air vents.
Yeah, the vents. And crawls in the room.
It's so funny.
I will say these demons are thoughtful.
They are creative.
Because poor Ellie, the mom, she's been locked out, you know, for a while now, and she realizes, I can get into the air vents. And it's just a great angle, because you see Beth is listening to headphones turned one way, and Ellie is creeping in.
Like a spider.
Yes, very spiderish, because, you know, when you're a demon, you have to walk like you're from The Exorcist.
Right, and then she looks in like the reflection of like the window and like
sees
there
her.
She is.
So there's a big attack scene, but at the whole time as this is happening, Bridget, even though she was killed by Staphne and covered, is also back alive.
Right. So he put a sheet over her so she looks like a ghost and she's like floating.
Yes, she's like floating at him, and she stabs Danny, the teenage boy, in the arm, and then she stabs him in the heart, and that's the one that gets him.
And the whole time she's vomiting blood on him.
Vomiting a huge amount of blood. And here's the thing. Having all that poured on your face like that, just like,
it's
I
amazing.
hope it did one take. I hope they did one take. But the poor teenager got stabbed in the heart, and then as he's dying, he looks at Cassie, his younger sister, and says, "I'm sorry," because it was his fault.
Yeah, because he just couldn't walk into the house with pizza. He had to go downstairs and get the Book of the Dead.
Not just the Book of the Dead and the records, but he has to play the records, let it play the I mean, it sucks because it really was his fault. Right. He got his mom killed.
The only real boy character in the movie effed up.
Well, there's the neighbors, but they weren't big.
Right, they didn't have big parts.
Big parts.
They didn't have big parts.
So anyway, we're down to it's just Beth and little Cassie that are alive. But as you know, when you're killed, if you're a demon,
you're still alive.
So Danny's now a demon, Bridget's a demon, Ellie's a demon, and they get out into the hall and they're coming to attack Beth.
And then all the people that the mom killed in the hallway are all rising.
Yes, they're all
Evil
rising.
Dead
They're all demons.
rise.
Luckily, Beth and Cassie are able to get into the elevator, which I guess is now working, but not really because it starts filling up with blood.
A homage to The Shining.
Yes, very shining, like it's filling up with blood. But then in one of the grossest, and I will say I've never seen this in another Evil Dead movie, Ellie, Danny, and Bridget as demons all start literally putting their arms into each other and melding together into one weird human
You actually
demon.
have seen this before.
What?
Leviathan.
Oh, you're right. Oh, sorry, but not in an Evil Dead movie.
True.
They become one big blob demon. It's like their three heads, like, I don't know, 6 arms, and they're all coming after, and poor Beth and Cassie are being filled in the elevator in blood and literally to the point of almost drowning, and finally it opens on the ground floor and spits out all the blood. Very shining.
It was
very
pretty
shining.
cool because like they weren't cheap about the effects. It was blood red, and like they both were covered in blood.
Tons of blood. And so they finally make it into the garage and they're trying to escape like in a car, but the big blob demon comes down there and they have like the big final conflict, which
it's interesting that a wood chipper is also parked in the garage.
I know. I love. So of course there's
And
a
a
wood chipper there
chainsaw.
and a chainsaw. And what happens is first the blob gets hold of Cassie and they have this chainsaw. And for a second, did you think they were going to chainsaw the little girl?
I thought, this movie's pretty gross. It might go there.
I at first was thinking, okay, they've killed some kids, but would they really like chainsaw off the youngest kid's head? But they don't because Beth gets in and stops them.
Saves the day.
But the blob demon is starting to pull Beth and turns on the wood chipper and is trying to pull her in it. Well, luckily she doesn't get pulled in, but she gets Cassie to pull it on right when she kicks it into there.
And it's pretty effective.
It is, but then Beth takes the chainsaw, and this was, talk about a homage, very homage to Bruce Campbell in Evil Dead 2 when he gets the chainsaw because he's covered in blood. So you see like a close-up of her, she's covered in blood with the chainsaw, total good callback, and she chainsaws the demon so that it gets pushed into the wood chipper. But what's funny is that everything but just the mom's head are left, and right before the mom's head goes in, it says like, you're just like our mom, you're worthless. Or what did she say?
And then doesn't she kick it in or punch it in?
I think she calls her Bethy Boo, and then Beth, in not the greatest one-liner, says, only my real sister gets to call me that, and then kicks it into the wood chipper.
Not the best. I mean, it was no like, I'll be back.
Yeah, I was just waiting, like when you have, and it's hard to get like a really good, strong one-liner that's not going to be cheesy.
Yeah, it wasn't,
like remember Scream 5 when she says, I still prefer the Babadook. It's always like a little
wah,
cringe.
wah.
Well, she says, only my real sister can call me that. It just was a little cringy.
It was kind of, I mean, I didn't need a line. I would have just been fine with a punch.
Or how about like, fuck off, bitch? How about that?
That always works.
That always works. So, okay, so all of the demons are ripped apart, dead. She walks away with Cassie, but what we forgot to say is that opening scene at the lake, after the opening scene ended. No, I was going to say what we forgot to say was that after the opening scene at the lake, when it switched to these characters, it said one day earlier.
Right.
Which is clever because you're like, well, wait, what is going to lead to what happened at the lake? So you see
the girl from the beginning. What was her name? The possessed girl who lives on
one of the floors in the apartment.
The 5th floor.
Oh, yeah. you see her on the phone with her friend with the
She
braid
goes,
saying,
"You better go."
she's like, I'm going to pick you up in 15 minutes. I can't wait to go to the lake. So this is when they were going on the way to the lake. She goes and gets in her car in the garage and then notices, what's this wood chipper over
there's
here?
a wood chipper and there's blood everywhere. And she starts freaking out.
Blood everywhere. Now she
rightfully so.
starts freaking out, which she should. And then what do you know? You see more Deadite like spirits starting to come close to her, and then they just come at her and she screams and it goes to credits.
Anyway, it was kind of a bummer because I actually really loved the first 5 minutes of this movie. So I don't know. I kind of wanted to see like her picking up her friend.
I would think it'd be funny if, because when she picked up her friend, she was
like,
kind of in the
weird.
middle of being possessed. So she's probably like, yeah, that would have been fun.
I mean, that would be a funny car
Can you
ride.
imagine when she picks up the girl at the braid and she's like, I can't wait to party. And she's like,
She goes, don't forget your copy of Wuthering Heights.
And then she's like, hey, I love your hairstyle. Can I rip it off your head?
Oh my gosh. I want to see, I mean, you got to see it twice. Did you like it better the first time or the second time?
So here's the thing. So all in all, me personally, I really enjoyed this movie. Now, look, I'm going to say that with one caveat. One caveat is that it is Evil Dead, which means it's going to be over the top. And it's going to be tons of gore to like the nth degree. But if you know Evil Dead and like Evil Dead, that's what makes this franchise. Like, if you want a really tame possession movie, then see like The Conjuring or see something like that. Don't see Evil Dead. It's known for over the top gore and stuff. With that said, I enjoyed this movie probably more than any of the Evil Dead movies, really.
I agree.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. What did you like? What made you like it as much as you did?
Well, because as someone who barfs under the influence, I could relate. I could relate to the barfing scenes. So I was like,
so that's the whole reason you like this?
Yeah. I was like, this movie's relatable. Finally, I found my film.
That's a great review. No, but didn't you just feel
I thought it was so stylish. Like, it was very slick. It had like I hate when I say this, but it had like a music video feel.
I get what you're saying.
It just like everyone with like both sisters looked like they were ready for like a model shoot.
I mean, the Ellie with her red glamorous hair, yeah.
Right, even the dark-haired girl with like, they just look like models. Yeah. And like, I love when a movie's stylish like that.
I love that. I totally get that. I think these are all the reasons why I liked it.
And these kids didn't annoy me.
Yeah, these are all the reasons I liked it. Number one, I liked that we had characters that we kind of got to know. It wasn't too much. It was almost too much, but we got to know them, so we knew what each character stood for. I liked that they introduced all of the elements of the original Evil Dead differently. AK, it wasn't a cabin. It was like, in the ground in an apartment building.
It was kind of like reminiscent of, I don't know if I can compare this, but Poltergeist 3, just a pinch.
Kind of the building type stuff. Yeah, I get what you're saying. But it just was, look, they wanted to breathe some life into the Evil Dead franchise. So you're not going to make another movie in a cabin. And I guess they didn't want to continue the Bruce Campbell storyline. So if they want to do a sort of different tale, but still the same elements, I thought they really achieved that. Like, I really did.
You know where they should go next? Where did they go in I Still Know What You Did Last Summer?
Oh, they should go to the Bahamas.
They should go to the Bahamas.
I think they should have them on an island and then like someone's surfing, but they're a demon. That'd be cool.
Right, yeah. And just throw Jennifer Love Hewitt in it.
And she's running in the rain and she, like, you can see through her top. That sounds great.
Right. And she goes, what was her big famous line?
What are you waiting for, huh?
What are you waiting for, huh?
Oh, no, but in the sequel, she says, I'm right here. Come and get me.
That's right.
Yeah, well, but the thing is, and also, obviously people like this movie because in its first weekend, it made $24.5 million. And obviously, that's not like a humongous amount compared to like what a Halloween or Scream would make, but for an Evil Dead movie, that's a lot of money for the first weekend. The original
came out in 1981. That's over 40 years ago.
And it's not like there's been a movie every few years. It's been 10 years since the last one. It's like a whole new generation. You know,
they're all discovering it.
Well, and I think fans of the original and the original trilogy of films are going to like this because that's a lot of callbacks to the original. I think fans of the remake are going to like this because it had that dark feel that the original did, and then people that just like a good scary movie because it's dark, but like you said, it's not so scary that you can't enjoy it.
I wasn't scared at all, and for some reason I wasn't grossed out at all. I really just enjoyed it.
That's what
I don't know what that says about me.
Do you remember how we've talked about in the past, like there's movies that truly scare you and there's movies that are just like fun, entertaining scares. Like a Scream movie, there's parts that scare me, but more often it's like of just entertainment. Yeah. And this is one of those. It's not like you're going to be scared that someone's going to vomit 2 gallons of blood on you. It's that it was just entertaining. It's a fun movie. As long as you can deal with the gore, it's just, you you have fun with
Deal
it.
with the gore. If you're
Some people can't deal with that gore.
I know. Some people are so sensitive. I hate those people.
What idiots.
Ugh.
No, but I mean, vomiting is tough to watch, but at least they're not vomiting like, and it doesn't look like, well, I guess it did look a little like food.
It did. I mean, like
Okay.
the mother like hacking up all that white stuff. I was like, disgusting.
Ew, I know. I mean, there's a ton of blood and a ton of vomit, and there is a ton of gore, but like, again, it's so over the top that it's almost terrifier
Did
level.
I imagine this when one of the people in the movie was vomiting? Was there bugs in the vomit? Did the girl like have bugs in the vomit?
Yes. Oh, Bridget, when she first vomited, it was maggots. But she had the dark colored vomit.
Yeah. I mean, I thought that kind of grossed me out a little bit.
Yeah, she had the maggot blood. So there's maggots, there's roaches. I mean, they have every gross thing in this. Exactly. So this is what I recommend. Have a really big meal, then go and watch Evil Dead Rise right when you're done eating. Right.
And go on a date.
Oh, God.
First date, preferably.
Well, so I mean, I really did like this. I really enjoyed it. I was impressed by it. And like it's the kind of movie that I could see myself. Again, I wouldn't have seen it a second time. No, I would have seen it a second time with you anyway.
I kind of want to see it again. I mean, if someone asked me, sure.
It's fun. You're like, hey, you want to ask me on a date?
Ask me on a date? Yeah.
I mean, and I felt bad I felt most bad for the mom because she was trying to take care of her kid. She got left by her husband and then gets possessed because of her dumb son.
So she loses her husband, loses her kids, loses her life.
How dare you?
That's
how we should end it, I think. Yes. Anyway, Evil Dead Rise, everyone. Hope you enjoyed all of our Evil Dead themed episodes. And yeah.
Don't get evil and don't get dead.
And don't rise.
Yeah.
Okay, bye, everyone.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Happy Horror Time.
This podcast is hosted by Tim Murdoch and myself, Matt Emmert. It's co-produced by Jacob Randall.
We release new episodes every Monday, and we switch off between reviewing new horror films with spoilers and interviewing horror stars. So there's something for everyone.
You can listen to the podcast directly from our website. That's www.happyhorrortime.com, or from Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, or wherever you stream podcasts. And if you'd like to support us, please sign up to be a patron at www.patreon.com/happyhorrortime. Patrons get access to our monthly bonus episodes where we discuss past horror films according to a theme. They get to vote on those themes. They get our monthly newsletter, The Happy Horror Times, and autographed Happy Horror Time stickers.
If you haven't already, make sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter at Happy Horror Time.
And since our movie reviews do contain spoilers, we always post the films we're going to review a few days in advance on our social pages, just in case you want to watch them beforehand and be in the know with us.
And finally, if you'd like to contact us directly, send an email to happyhorrortime@gmail.com. We especially love it when you tell us how sexy we are.
I'm Matt Emmert.
And I'm Tim Murdoch.
And we hope you have a happy horror time.